Hey, I'm gonna try to go over this video using common sense. I'm gonna try to keep it short to around like 25 minutes. Uh, I'm just gonna go right into it.
All my indigenous relatives on Turtle Island. Basically, when you deal with indigenous culture, everybody on this planet is a descendant of a tribe. Whether you know it or not, you descend from a tribe. Now,
There's over 100,000 different tribes in the world. People don't recognize themselves as tribes. People recognize themselves as nations. There's a clan in China called the Fuyang clan. If you were to come and ask a Chinese person, what is your nationality? They wouldn't tell you their clan a day in their life. They would always tell you Chinese. Not one time, not twice, not maybe, not 99% of the time, always. It always will be Chinese because people deal in nations.
all these tribes have their history. A lot of us have been written out of history. It's called paper genocide.
I want to touch on the written out of history part. This is the Admiralty and Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, page 68 in Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. It says, established in the principal maritime cities on the revival of commerce after the fall of the Western Empire. It say after the fall of the Western Empire. When did a Western Empire fall? Did that make sense to you? When was there a Western Empire? Have you ever heard of a Western Empire? I thought we were in the Western Empire. But I guess one fell. Oh, I guess they wrote that one out of the history. Kind of the one he's not going to be speaking on, but he's going to be talking about that empire and talking about what that empire had and what that empire did without mentioning that there was a Western Empire, because he want to make it look like a tribe. So it's kind of like me talking. It's kind of like somebody talking about China, and he's speaking all about China and what China did and all of these things. But they keep on trying to make it seem like it's Fuyang, and it's a Fuyang, and it's a bunch of tribes. You know, it was China. It was a nation of people. But let's keep on going.
Laws were passed starting in 1700s, 1800s, but the final law that was passed was called the Racial Integrity Act, which was passed in 1924. This act changed it took your nationality away from you and reduced you to a racial category.
They didn't have a nationality. What he's talking about is it taking the Cherokee thing from and reducing them back to that. But Cherokee isn't a nationality. He just called it a tribe. Now he's calling it nationality. These two words obviously have two different definitions. They obviously don't mean the same thing. Everyone in the world know that tribe and nation do not mean the same thing in a regular dictionary. Everyone knows that. They obviously did not take Cherokee from you and give you Negro, and then that was because Cherokee was your nationality. That obviously did not happen. Cherokee wasn't even your nationality. That was a tribe.
So that would be Negro, colored, things of that nature. So a lot of us, when you look back on your the census reports, you're gonna find that a lot of your ancestors were documented as being colored. Now, when you understand that the original term for colored represented anyone who was indigenous, and what they would say Native American and black, right?
That's not the original term of color. The original term of color means fake in the Black's Law Dictionary. I do know what term he's talking about. So it is a term that represents, or they would speak to indigenous, or they would say means indigenous people. And this was the application, also in the Black's Law Dictionary that you can say. I forgot the name of it though. But that is not the original term of color, because color leads to no land. It's no land of colored. And how about colored? Think about colored. How can that lead to indigenous people? Color. Really? That leads to indigenous people? Color. It means fake. That's the original application. It means artificial in a law dictionary. But there's another term that has color in it, and they use it as that, but they use it as a way to disinherit people, to take away their nationality. The original term was not the original people. It means artificial.
Right? But the point is, black is not a nationality. So when they deal with when they say black, they hide in the net.
Cherokee is not a nationality. That's also a hiding nationality. If somebody go around calling himself Fuyang, I would also tell them you're not stating your nationality. Your nationality is Chinese, not Fuyang. Cherokee is also hiding nationality.
A nationality. Now, a lot of people don't understand, or they don't realize that the actual slave trade started in the Americas and took people to Europe. Right? So a lot of what we call slaves, or people who came here during the first arrival of slaves to the Americas, a lot of these people were indigenous people who were initially taken from here and brought back, right? My family happened to be one of those. We have our history, we have our records, we have everything. European, in order to, like the first colony established in New Jersey is called Middletown. Middletown sits on the Navesink River. The Navesink is the name of my tribe. Nuwasik, it means those closest to the river, right? So a lot of the history that we have, you can really easily deal with who you truly were when you start decoding the history of the towns and the cities and the boroughs you grew up in. Your family was raised in. My family in particular, we from New Jersey. We're documented as one of the oldest 3 families that was on record as being here when the Europeans established their first colony, which was Middletown. Which,
one of the oldest 3 families that was documented as being here. This is the Washita Empire. Empire, Washita, Doug Demon Dyer. They are registered as the oldest indigenous people on Earth, Washita, meaning that they stayed in one place the longest on Earth. That is what the United Nations recognized them as. They stayed in one place the longest on Earth to be indigenous that place. Yes, and this is right here, the Washita Empire. 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 And his family is over here. It's in New Jersey and coming up over here. Yes, this is all Washita though, the empire. And I want to Washita Dugdamaya Moors. They are Moors, as you can see them with the fez on. As you can see them with the fez on. You can see them with the fez on. They are Moors. Moors. And they're recognized as the oldest indigenous people on the planet. Let's keep going.
This is on the northern bank of the Navesink River. The southern bank of the Navesink River is a town called Red Bank. That's where I'm from, right? A lot of these places that we know of as cities, right? I'll give you an example, New Orleans. New Orleans is a French military outpost, right? Where I'm from, Red Bank, Manhattan, places like this were indigenous cities. And when
they were not indigenous cities, they was a part of a Western empire that fell.
The Europeans came here, they just overlaid everything that we were already doing.
When I say not a part of indigenous cities, I mean tribal cities, of what he's really trying to say. He's not trying to say indigenous, because there's cities in China that's indigenous, but they're also Chinese at the same time being indigenous. He's trying to say tribal cities.
Fulton Street was already here. We was already doing trade on these places. Europeans came here and they just overlaid the roads. I can show them proof of this because my great-great-grandfather was one of the individuals responsible for paving all the indigenous pathways. These indigenous paths are what you call 13, I-95, the Garden State Parkway, so on and so forth, right? That was here already. There's 5...
I know it was here because it's the empire.
A lot of y'all are familiar with the Silk Road in Europe. There were 5 Silk Roads here.
Because it's an empire.
On this side, coming from the north, the northwest, the south, the southwest, and west completely, right? These 5 roads, these 5 trading routes all coalesced, or they all met up at a place called the Navesink River. From the Navesink River, you would float your goods up to what we call Manhattan. Manhattan was a place of trade. That's why it...
Because it's an empire. That's why only an empire will have a place to trade like that everyone from around the world comes to, because it's an empire.
It was deemed the World Trade. That's why the World Trade Center was built here, because Manhattan has always been a place where the nations came to trade.
Yes, nations came to trade. Wait, he just say nations came to trade? I thought the tribes were the nations. So do he mean tribes came to trade? Because I'm pretty sure no tribes were coming from other places to come trade here. I'm pretty sure they were nations. I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure they were nations, not tribes.
Nations as far as Europe?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure. He said nations as far as Europe. Europe's a continent. But yes, Europe, nations in Europe. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was nations. I'm pretty sure it wasn't tribes that was coming from Europe to come trade.
South America, North America, Canada. I'll give you an example, right? They tell you about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was native routes, native trade routes, a part of these 5 Silk Roads that was on this side, all right? The Underground Railroad, the final destination was a place called Nova Scotia, right? When you understand where Nova Scotia is, you understand that Nova Scotia means New Scotland, right? When you deal with Scotland, right, An example for a lot of y'all, because you like to watch movies, the last king of Scotland dealt with the Uganda. The Ugandans, right, who established what we call Kemet.
If you want to watch it straight through, put in the title and watch it. He about to go into it's like a little. It's not really the topic of what I'm trying to be discussing. I'm not trying to talk about Uganda and Egypt right now. So I'm gonna go over a little bit real quick.
Scott means dark. So when we talk about Anne Scott, who was the mother of King James, Scott is not a name, it's a title. See, a lot of the things we don't understand is that what we think of as surnames are just descriptive titles, meaning Europeans, when they name things or they designated things.
Did he not say, wait, let's go listen to that again.
Scott is not a name, it's a title. See, a lot of the things we don't understand is that what we think of as surnames are just descriptive titles.
Just descriptive titles.
Town sits on the Navasink River. The Navasink is the name of my tribe. Nuwasik, it means those closest to the river.
Is that not descriptive? How can you get more descriptive? Anybody can be close to a river. Those closest to the river. Anybody can be close to a river. How is that not? Isn't that descriptive? But okay. That's not descriptive, and that's not a name. That's obviously a name. That's not descriptive. Those closest to the river are obviously alluding to people. But okay. That's like Moroccan. That's like what you're going to be saying. But okay. Those close to the river. I got you.
Now, Nova Scotia means new dark lands. Kemet is what? The dark lands, right? Scott is not a name, it's a title. See, a lot of the things we don't understand is that what we think of as surnames are just descriptive titles, meaning Europeans, when they name things or they designated things, it was either descriptive, locational, right, or functional. So you have names like Miller, right, because those families worked at mills. You have names like Taylor, because those families made clothing. You have people who are known as fishers, because when they encountered these people, they encountered them on the waters, and they were
also, that anybody with names, they will have Ellen Bay. We always had Ellen Bay, El Bay, Ali Day, Al, obviously, all five, but we use Ellen Bay now. But they will have Ellen Bay to connect them back to the empire also. So it would be Rogers Bay of the clan of Cherokee or whatever else of Cherokee tribe, Roger Bay of Cherokee tribe. The Bay would be the empire to show you Moorish empire of you obviously get how it's set up. But then when we lost when the empire was falling, and some of us wanted to trade and wanted to go into the tribal thing, we dropped the Bay. Then it'll be Rogers, and then instead of be Cherokee tribe, they will say Rogers of the Cherokee nation, and then they'll sign a bunch of treaties that Europeans wasn't going to recognize it. But you kind of get what I'm saying.
We're fishing, so they call the people fishers. You have families named Rivers. Why? Because when they encountered these families when they came here, they named them according to their location place, right? So you have family names like Hill, right? Family names like my family, which is Rock, right? When you start to deal with the real understanding of languages, you understand that a lot of the people who what we assume are surnames are really descriptive terms given to the people, right? So I could go deeper in it and start breaking it down.
Just like his tribe is a descriptive term given to the people.
From the language of my people, which we call our language Lenape, because the language is synonymous with the people, right? But when
we spoke 5 languages minimum. Anybody that spoke less than 5 languages was a dummy. We use languages for different things. Like Latin we use for law. Arabic we use, let's say, poetry or something else. We spoke the minimum 5 languages, minimum. There was no language for no actual people. We spoke everything. It wasn't no language. You speak China because you're Chinese, and you speak China, you speak Latin, you speak Arabic, you speak English, and you can add another 5 languages onto that. It was
still your language, and they steal your identity. What happens is you start to revert and you start to use different names, identities for yourself. One of the first names that we reverted to, right? And
you show me one indigenous people on this earth that kept the same language for the last 80,000 years. You know how many times a nation reorganized?
I'm speaking for those of us in Lenape-Hoking, which is all.
No, Jolly spoke English. He spoke English. A prophet that spoke English. Meaning you can reach levels without. You don't have to. You can speak. It's a language. Different languages tap into different things, but that's going to another discussion. But I'm just saying. I'm just.
All of New Jersey, the 5 boroughs, eastern Pennsylvania, and northern Delaware.
Even though English isn't their language, just adding. But
all right. So all the people within that territory who lost their tribal identity started to refer to themselves as Moors.
Yeah. That's a lie.
Because Moor is a general title that references seafaring indigenous nations.
You said Moor is a general title. Okay, let's go. Okay. Mulatto. This is Bailey's 1721 dictionary. Bailey's 1721 dictionary. Just in case I'd help you out. Just in case you don't. You have a better way of Bailey's 1721 dictionary, the publication. First published in 1721. Let's go down to mulatto. Mulatto. One born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation. One born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation makes you a mulatto. Which means that the only way you could be fully pure human is if your parents are two Moors. If you mix with someone who's not a Moor, that will make you a mulatto. Oh, but do that add up with anything having to do with seafaring nations? That don't even make sense, do it? Seafaring nation, one born of parents of whom one is a seafarer and the other of another nation. Obviously, that makes no sense, and they're not using it in that context. And this is 1721, and they're not using it in that context. Obviously, Moor refers to, as it always said, dark-skinned people. Whether you were a seafarer or not, I'm pretty sure they're not referring to Zulus as being a mulatto if you mix with a Zulu, if they didn't travel the seas and they weren't traveling the seas at the time. I'm pretty sure. One born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation. Okay. Which will make Moor mean exactly what it always say. It will refer to the original people, which is the dark-skinned people. The reason why it say dark-skinned people is because they are the original people. So obviously it will refer to dark-skinned people because they are the originals.
Right? It doesn't mean Morocco. Somebody from Morocco is not a Moor, he's a
Morocco was the kingdom on West Africa, but there was a Moorish empire, which can also be called a Moroccan empire. That's why the prophet said we are Moroccans. We are Moroccans born in America, but we're descended from Moroccans. We are Moors born in America, but we're descended from Moroccans. Because it was an empire. It wasn't a country. You see, what people got to get is sometimes people get caught up in. Let's go look at North Africa real quick. But I want you to think about this real quick. Look at these nations that you see over here: Western Sahara, Morocco, Algeria, Libya. These was all a part. What do they say? What do they say when they sing from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli? That's the Moroccan Empire. This is why I say you got to think. Dungdamaya Empire. Dungdamaya Empire was Moors. Dungdamaya Empire was Moors. They were Moors. They were Moors. They were Moors. Dungdamaya Empire was Moors. Now I'm going to show you that the Sultan, letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco. I'm going to come straight down here. As you see, George Washington. This is city of New York. George Washington writing this in the city of New York from George Washington to George Washington. Okay, now let's hurry up and go here. The encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your dominions. Wait, dominions mean land. He just called this Moroccan land. He just called this land Morocco. He just called this land Morocco. But that would make sense if the Washita are Moors too. The Washita are Moors, and he called the land Morocco, which would make us Moors, which would also make us Moroccans, because the land is Morocco, but we're also Moors at the same time. But what do we have to be with us being Moors? Because we have a Western Empire. But the land of the Western Empire was Morocco. It's not really that hard if you just let's go back down. The encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce, with your land, basically is what he's saying, with your dominions, the punctuality with which you have caused the treaty with us to be observed, and just and generous measures taken in case of Captain Proctor, make a deep impression on the United States. Make a deep impression on the United States and confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. He just said the United States is attached to the Moroccan lands. Your Imperial Majesty is obviously Morocco. Is obviously Morocco. And he said dominions, which is Moroccan land. So he's basically saying that this is Morocco. This is Morocco. And how would this be Morocco? This would be Morocco because do you see all of that land? Yes, that is ran by Moors. Do you see that? And United States is where? On the colonies right here. He just watched. What did George Washington say? George Washington said that these are Moroccan dominions, which means that this is also Moor land. So if this land is ruled by Moors, and he said he's from New Jersey, which will automatically make him a Moor because his land is either he's a Moor or his land isn't his, and he's a foreigner. It have to be one or the other because this is Moroccan land. This is Moroccan land. You go down to Mexico, you have people like this. Ottomies. The Ottoman warriors. The Ottomans was a warrior people. The Ottomans in Mexico. The Ottomans. That sounds a lot like Ottoman. Moroccan. That sounds a lot like Moroccan. The tribe is one of the several Native American tribes. That sounds a lot like Moroccan. It sounds a lot like it. I mean, it's obviously not the same, but it's a lot of sound a lot like it. United States is here, and George Washington said Moroccan domain. So I mean, all of this. Where is he at? New Jersey. This is a part of the United States, which would make this Moroccan dominions. Okay. Let's.
Jersey, the 5 boroughs, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Northern Delaware. All right? So all the people within that territory who lost their tribal identity started to refer to themselves as Moors. Yeah. Okay, because Moor is a general type.
He said all those people that lost their tribal identity started referring to themselves as Moors. So they said all the people, like saying all the Fuyang started referring to themselves as Chinese. I mean, it makes sense. But look at here. Look at here. This is so. When did the Washita start referring to himself as Moors? Because they own all of this land, which is so big. This is double the size of the United States. It's double. So okay. So please tell me when did Washita start calling themselves Moors? When was they wearing fezzes like that? As you see the guy right here with the fez on, which is with the Empress. You see the guy right here with the fez on. The Louisiana Purchase. They were selling Washita territory. But obviously, it wasn't theirs to sell. They were selling territory that wasn't theirs. And see his fez and Washita, Dungamaya Moors. So when did they start calling themselves Moors? Okay, let's just look at this with common sense. If they're calling themselves Moors, if this is all their land, and you have this little baby, witty, pitty, little bit of land, obviously you didn't just start calling yourself Moors yesterday. And while George Washington in 1789 is saying that this is Moroccan land. Obviously, it'd have to do with the Washita, with them being Moors and the Moroccans being Moors, and Moor being the general title. But the Moors having an empire, that's why they say, especially in African Negro when they refer to it. But
title that references seafaring indigenous nations.
We already proved that wrong by Washita. We already proved that wrong.
Right? It doesn't mean Morocco. Somebody from Morocco is not a Moor, he's a Moroccan.
We obviously proved that wrong by being that the Sultan said the land over there is Moroccan dominions, but then who is over there? Moors. How can the Sultan give Moroccan dominions if it's Moors? So it's
somebody from Mauritania is not a Moor, he's a Mauritanian.
Somebody from Mauritania is not a Moor. Okay, let's look at this real quick. Mulatto. Okay, let's go to Moor. Moor, first definition, same dictionary, 1721 Bailey's Dictionary. A native of Mauritania in Africa, a black Moor, a native of Mauritania, and it's funny because they have Mauritania, the exact one that he said. What is a native of Mauritania? That would mean that they're Moor, right? But what is a native of Mauritania? Ain't that a Mauritania? That's like saying a native of China. That's a Chinese person, obviously. But okay, okay. But they're not Moors. But it say Moor and it say Mauritania, but they're not Moors. Okay, they're not Moors. This one talk about basic research. People wouldn't say these names.
If that concept was valid, then if Morocco is short from, if Moor is short for Morocco, then the concept of a Moor would be what we call ourselves, because we come from America, right? So for somebody to start talking like Moor is not a nationality, right? Moor come out of a function. It come out of
Moor's an empire. It was a Moorish empire. Nobody redesignated it because our empire fell as Moorish American. Ish meaning pertaining to what? Moroccan dominions. The same Moroccan dominions that set up George Washington. That is what he's referring to. The same Moroccan dominions that set up George Washington. Why is a sultan owning land over in North America and he's not spoke about? And why did the Sultan give land to George Washington? And how was he able to do that? The Sultan didn't own no land in North America because it was a Western empire. That's why. Because it's a Western empire. Where's the definition? Western, the fall of the Western Empire. This is all before the fall. So you know what the Western Empire was called? The Moorish Empire. It was called the Moorish Empire. And do you know what North America was referred to as? Morocco. It's not. But the whole empire could be referred to as the Moroccan Empire. It wasn't Moor and Morocco went together. It goes together. He just said Moor and Morocco. But the Sultan gave George Washington the dominions to set up camp. He gave him dominions. But how can he give him dominions of territory over here? If he don't, obviously it's an empire that's with us and our cousins, and it's an empire. It's Washita Moors. It just that's why I say come over here. This is why I said about the empire. Like you look at Morocco. Let's go to Morocco flag. Let's go there. You see the star. Okay. Let's go to Algeria. You see the star and the crescent. Okay. See another star though. You see that, right? All right. Libya. Let's go to Libya. Star and the crescent. And then you look at the Ottomans in Mexico. Is it not easy to get at, basically kind of get at what I'm saying as I'm going over all of this? It's
out of an action. Mooring is steering. In order to
mooring is steering. Moor, a native of Mauritania, is obviously not steering.
A moor ship, you're guiding a ship, right?
Let's talk about nomenclature. Things apply to different things. So if you talk about the seas, then you talk, when you say moor, talk about the seas steering. There's also a moor fish. What are you talking about? That's like me saying moor is a fish. That's like me saying moor is a fish. No, if you talk about fishes and you say moor is a fish. The fish, the more fish, the blackamoor fish is not, no, but moor is not fish, because that moor also doesn't mean staring. When you're talking about the seas, it means staring. When you talk about people, it means the fact that you even got to go over this is insane.
Moor, who was the person when Columbus sailed here? Who guided his ship? Pedro the Moor. Moor is a function.
What? Because he's a Moor.
Just like Taylor is a function, just like Smith is a function. But the Europeans...
Your tribe is a function. Your tribe is those that live close to the river. Is that not a function?
When they encountered the original Moors, right, they were all melanated people. So through association, Moor became dark.
Moor is not only melanated people. You have many different looking Moors, as you see with the Libyan Moors. Oh, we talked the ones that they encountered. Yes, they would have been most of them. There was amalgamated Moors by that time, even in Spain, from the mixing with. What are you talking about? Pedro the Moor. He tutored Ferdinand and Isabella daughter. No, their son. It's not. They seen Moors all the time, and Pedro wasn't a dark-skinned Moor. What are you talking about? They've been seeing Moors with lighter skin.
Dark. But it's not what it means. Connotatively, it means navigator.
He said connotatively it means navigator. And connotative is a fake definition. He basically said the fake definition is navigator. That's like saying nice. It just it just so it just because it's literally like saying nice means connotatively nice means good.
That's what it means.
Therefore, nice means good. No, nice means
Connotatively more
foolish.
means
Is
this and
deep
more.
as the river denotation.
Just like
And then your
Taylor is a
initial
function,
connotation
just like
states not
Smith is a function.
even though
But the
connotation.
Europeans, when they encountered the original Moors, right, they were all melanated people. So through association, Moor became dark. But it's not what it means. Connotatively, it means navigator.
He said connotative. You have to know the definition of connotation. But he said connotatively, it means navigator. This is why people have to study, because things like this.
I'm a Moor, you know I'm a Moor.
Because I live here in America, so that is why they put USA there.
Right. Understood. And it was powerful to me because I know being a Moor, you know I'm a Moor. We all Moors, right?
She said we're
right.
all
I'm a Moor,
Moors.
you know I'm a Moor. We all Moors, right.
Look at her face. She said it like as if when I'm saying he's a Moor, as if it's even debatable. Look at her face. And she's actually from Africa. Look at her face.
I know being a Moor, you know I'm a Moor.
Look,
We all Moors.
she said, look at her face. Our face squinting up. Basically, him saying he was a Moor was like him saying he's human. Look at her face. Her face squinting as if I'm saying a Moor, as if no duh, you're a Moor.
I know being a Moor.
Now I want to show you something. He said Moor means navigator. Look at her face.
I'm a Moor. We all Moors.
We're all Moors, which means dark-skinned people. But he's saying it's a function to use as meaning navigator, mulatto. One born of parents. Oh, this is 1721 Bailey's dictionary, like I showed last time in part one. The same dictionary, going back to the same definition. Mulatto, one born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation. One born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation. Does that sound like sea navigator? Does it sound like Moor referring to sea navigator? See, people have to actually study, because then they'll begin to see that it's different ways Moor could be used. Moor can be used as a sea navigator. But let's just go into you have things such as this. You can use it also as a sea navigator, or you can use it for fish. So now, do Moor mean fish? Oh, because the fish navigating in the seas. Now, Moor mean Moor can be used many different ways. But it's one people who set up empires as Moors, and they fell as Moors, and it was a Moorish empire that was directed to throughout treaties. So if you were to look in the treaty and you see the term Moor, then you would know that the name Moor denotes a certain people in that treaty. Like the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. You know they're not talking about Moors in Sri Lanka. Kind of like this. He said Moor means sea navigator. Even when you put Moor, in most of the dictionaries, they'll say a dark-skinned person, especially an African Negro. You know what they call African Negroes? They'll say especially. They had the Moorish Empire. A native of Mauritania in Africa, a black Moor. A native of Mauritania. And he said Moor means sea navigator. There's nothing over here that states that Moor means sea navigator. But people can just say things like this because people don't study. Look at her face. Do it look like Moor means sea navigator when she said we're all Moors? Did she say we're all Moors? Did she say we navigate seas? That's why we're Moors. Look at her face. Look at the definition of Moor. Look at a native of Mauritania. And other definitions you'll see, especially in African Negro, you'll see any dark-skinned person, because the dark-skinned people are the first people on the planet. They're the original humans. So to be a mulatto, i.e. to be an amalgamated Moor, you have to be mixed with another nation, which is the European nations, which they aren't even amalgamated Moors, because they were mixed in with the Moors. They were spawned from the Moors. Still, they are even amalgamated Moors, but they contain other DNA. So it's another nation. You refer to it as another nation, which is to be a mulatto. Basically, to be a pure human is to be a Moor. So when you say I'm a Moor, you're saying I'm human. If you're saying I'm Moorish, you're saying we use the ish as Moorish American. Just the ish is pertaining to Morocco, being that it's the Moroccan Empire. The name of the land is not Moor. Then the name of the land is Morocco. We use ish pertaining to Morocco. Ish means pertaining to, which is Moorish American. Basically, a Moroccan American is what we're basically saying. Moroccan being the land, America being the empire, being that we fell as an empire. Now see, one of the things I'm seeing people do, I'm seeing that they don't realize that it was a Moorish empire. Then Noble Ali came and redesignated us. Basically, India was not called India. It was called Hindustan. We called it Hindustan. They were Hindustanis. Then They came and they reorganized their nation, and now they say India. They're not in. It was never India. We never called it India. It was called Hindustan. Much like China. China was called China. K-I-N-A. China. That's what we refer to China as. China reorganized as China. Now they say China. Do you not see how a reorganization happened? Basically, when an empire fell, nations had to come out and reorganize. Our nation reorganized in 1913 as Moorish American. Basically, that's what he mean by the prophet brought us back our nationality. We were reorganized from the Moorish Empire, which you refer to, Black's Law Dictionary. Let's go down to Admiralty, Black's Law Dictionary, right? I'm so I can show you the empire that I'm speaking of. It's on page 68. All right, you know. It's on page 68, Admiralty. Let's go straight to the part. Established in the principal maritime cities on the revival of commerce after the fall of the Western Empire. The fall of the Western Empire. Now, aren't we in the Western Empire? When did the Western Empire fall? The Western Empire fell because the Moorish Empire fell, which Noble Drew Ali reorganized as Moorish American. Moor being human, the original people of the earth. Okay, now see, it all ties in together because it's the truth. Washita, Dead Dung Damaya, oldest indigenous people on earth. They're in North America. They are referred to as the oldest indigenous people on earth. Washita are referred to as the oldest indigenous people on earth. This is the emperors of the Washita. Same with the Fez. The Washita Dungdamaya Moors are listed at the United Nations. They're under the Washita Dungdamaya Moors. They're Moors. They're Moors referred to as the oldest indigenous people on earth. They're in North America. As you see, right, they had a court case to when they won the land back from the Louisiana Purchase. See, if people study these simple things, it's not even up for debate. It's just that people don't study. If people just begin to study these simple things, it would be a direct descendant of Lewis. The U.S. Supreme Court case. Alright, I just got distracted there. A direct descendant of Louis 17 and Aya Morea Verdacci Tari in the sovereign U.S. Supreme Court case number 31 and 191 of 1948 United States versus Henry Turner's heirs affirms the state of the Washita 68,000 acres of land constituting the northern half of the present state of Louisiana. The land is the personal and private property of the Empress, heir to the 1795 Spanish land grant, Maison Rouge. The land now serves as the capital area, Washita proper, of a much larger claim. Yes, because they won the case. They won the case. They won the case, and they also referred to as the oldest indigenous people on earth. And they're the Washita Dungdamaya Moors. Louisiana Purchase was their territory. Louisiana Purchase was double the size of the United States at the time. It was double the size and a little more of the double. And you see Washita Dungdamaya Moors. You see them with the fez on. This is the Empress. But you see, a basic, just basic studying. Just basic studying could show you that it's insane. This the Empress right here. Look at it with the late Her Highness Empress Verdiachi Washita. It was transformed to Washington. That's why so many of our people have the name Washington. It's just basic studying. How with the fez on? Just basic studying. It would literally just save our people from any single. This is Washita territory right here. Let me try to get back to it before I get caught up. No, I'm not a scholar whatsoever. I'm studying, and I'm trying to study and use common sense as I go along. So forgive me about anything, because I'm not a scholar.
That's what it means. But you're going to deal with people who are going to tell you more means this and more means that. And I'm telling you,
I just showed you what more mean.
They are not educated on the concept.
He said more means sea navigator. Obviously, more does not mean sea navigator. So he said to be educated on the concept is to come up with one born of parents of whom one is a sea navigator and and the other of another nation will make you a mulatto. Obviously, it does not mean sea navigator. Obviously, no description that I gave you of people referring to themselves as Moors meant sea navigator. A native of Mauritania, Moor. A native of Mauritania in Africa, a black Moor. Obviously, these people do not mean sea navigators. The Washoe Dungdamai sea navigators, obviously, they're not referring to themselves as sea navigators. The Moors, this phase does not represent sea navigation. The Moors do see, we are sea navigators of the 7 chakras as well as the 7 seas. So, yes, we are sea navigators. But what he's trying to say is that Moor means people who travel the seas. As a more, son is, it's so crazy that people actually listen to this stuff. As I'm showing you definitions in the 1721 Bailey's Dictionary, it's just insane. It almost becomes like, well, okay.
Now, I will break it down for you. There's a tribe called the Nanticoke Lenape Moors in southern Jersey, right? For a long period of time, after they passed laws which denied us the right to carry out our culture, and our culture was simply farming.
Like I said last time, many cultures consist of farming. They're still nations. So if a Chinese person starts farming, and then all of a sudden he become a clan now, because the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, like I said in the last one, this is a clan in China called the Fuyang clan. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, so don't. But it's a clan in China called the Fuyang clan. And if you meet a Chinese person, he would never tell you I'm of the Fuyang clan. He would say I'm Chinese, because that's what they stand under. He would deal with other Chinese people telling them he's Fuyang clan because they deal with that. But we deal with nations. He's trying to present tribes as being nations. So basically, if we were in China and I'm saying we're Chinese, he's trying to say no, he's trying to say I'm Fuyang and you're a part of a tribe. So he's trying to say what we're going to do is go back to our tribes. Like, let's say if all the people in China got branded yellow, and then let's say the people that was referred to as Fuyang clan was branded yellow, like everyone was branded yellow. Basically, I'm coming from out of the yellow state and going, we're Chinese. He's coming out of the yellow state and going, we're Fuyang clan. No, and not Fuyang clan. He's going, we're Fuyang clan, but Fuyang clan is a nation. And I'm going, no, China is the nation, when Fuyang clan is not the nation. And he's going, no, Fuyang clan is the nation, and China don't really exist. No, we're Chinese people and China exists. And he's going, no, Chinese is not a nation, and Chinese people do not exist. Chinese means sea navigators, and Chinese people mean the people who run around the river at 6 o'clock, and it can be referred to as anybody. It's just a description of other people. But Chinese is not a nation. Fuyang clan is a nation. Obviously, you can see that there's something wrong with this, which is what I'm talking about in this, because there's something wrong with it. But I'm probably not going to finish it. This will probably be the last one I'm doing this because it's so absurd. It's like almost
farming and hunting. All this other stuff y'all want to talk about, it's just the show. It's regalia, right? Our culture was hunting and farming. When they outlawed that because they wanted to control our food sources, when they outlawed marijuana and hemp because it provided over 1,000 remedies in terms of foods, medicines, things of that nature. When they outlawed all that, we were forced to start dealing with them on their terms, right? Now, when they removed a lot of us to Oklahoma, the Indians that were removed then were the amalgamated Indians.
The Indians that were removed. He know Indian is in a nationality, and this ain't India, but he still referred to them as Indians.
Who are a product mainly of
the Indians are over there in the redesignated East. Those are the people that call them. Those are the Indians right now. We're not Indians. This is not India.
Irish migration and us mixing with the Irish. So a lot of these people, that's why the Indians, their whole culture is not predicated on seafaring, right? So you would include
back a little bit.
Who is not landlocked in his own waters, right? So certain nations wouldn't be considered Moors because they landlocked.
What? Certain nations wouldn't be considered Moors? Let's go back to her, who's actually a part of the civilized world.
Because I live here in America, so that is why they put the USA there.
Right. Understood. And it was powerful to me because I know, being a Moor, you know I'm a Moor. We all Moors.
We're all Moors.
Right. Being a Moor, you know I'm a Moor. We all Moors. Right.
Wait, but didn't she say we are landlocked? But she meant to say the landlocked ones of us are Moors. The seafarers are Moors. Oh no, only us as seafarers is Moors. A native of Mauritania. Does that say a native of seafaring Mauritania? No. Let's go to mulatto. Let's see. One born of parents of whom one is a Moor, but they mean a seafarer in the other of another nation. If people just study, they'll be able to tell that people like this are lying. They're lying. They're lying. This is the Western Empire, the Moorish Empire. This is why this empire was able to set up George Washington. Letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco. Let's go down here. The encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your domains is land. They just call this land Morocco, which is i.e. Moorish. More being the people, the original humans. Ish being pertaining to what? Pertaining to Morocco, which is the empire. It's just so basic. An American being a redesignation of the modern day times, i.e. the prophet gave us back our nation and nationality, which we had lost. Moorish American. Now you have people saying, no, we don't need to be Moorish American of the Western Empire that we had lost. We need to be Fujian clan, not Chinese. Nah, China don't exist. You see, China referred to some of us that was on the eastern seaboard of Asia, and we was landlocked, right? And China, if anybody said this to you, you'd be looking at them like it was completely insane. Somebody going, you see, it's just so basic, but.
And not, their whole culture is not predicated on seafaring, right? So you would include people like Vikings and people like that as Moors, right? This is why they tell you free white people in the definition. They include all different types of people because they're dealing with nations who navigated, who are part of ancient treaties. And I can name the 6 ancient treaties. But we can, you know what I mean? We'll do that another time. But there were 6 ancient treaties that united all the tribal families on the planet. All these planets did trade in places like the
Let me help you out. He said all the tribal families on the planet. You know how many tribes there are on this earth? There are over 100,000 different tribes. Are you out of your mind? In Africa, there are probably over 50,000 tribes in Africa alone. Are you out of your mind? Literally, their tribes with just like 100 people. Are you out of your mind? How can treaties? It's just amazing. He's literally trying to say tribes are the nations. So he's trying to say you with 99 of your friends, if y'all come together and call yourself the Wu Dani, that you're now a nation just because. Let me help you out, man. Let me help you out. You see this right here? These are nations. Egypt, Egyptian, Sudan, Sudanese, Niger, Algeria, Libyan. These are nations. But guess what? These nations came out of the Moorish Empire. It's pretty much amazing that people can't see this. Let's go back real quick. This is the last thing I'm gonna do. Hawaii, Fez, Islam, Fez, Hawaii, Fez, Islam, Fez, Islam, Fez, Islam. This is her Hawaiian monarch. Hawaiian. Oh, why would he be wearing that Fez? Oh, because it's a Western Empire. Western Empire, Fez, Morocco, Fez, Hawaiian, Fez, Morocco, Western Empire, Sultan Ibn Abdullah. Oh, giving George Washington dominions, land. The land over here is Morocco. This land is Morocco. It's make a deep impression on the United States and confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. What is this Imperial Majesty? It is Morocco. It is an empire. See the Fez? It is an empire. You see the Fez. It's just so basic. It's at 19 minutes. Now, I just want to go over a little bit other things. Just show you some stuff. As you see, this is our pyramid. Now I want to show you a pyramid somewhere else. El Salvador. Pyramid, Fez. That's called Liberty Cat. That's a Fez. You see it's red? It's Fez. That's a Fez. Liberty Cat, Fez. Liberty Cat, Fez. El Salvador flag. Pyramid, Liberty Cat, Fez. Pyramid with the Fez. Pyramid, circle 7. The 7. Got the cedar tree. It's just, oh my. It's just so. Let's go more. Federal Republic of Central America. As you can see, Fez. Pyramid. Why? Because they came out of the Moorish Empire. So they need that pyramid. That is the Moorish pyramid, which came out of the Moorish Empire. This is the Federal Republic of Central America. Why? Because after the Moors fell in North America, they had to redesignate. Also, guess who else had to redesignate in 1804 when the Moors fell in 1795? Haiti. Fez. Haiti had to redesignate in 1804 because we fell in 1795. Our Moorish fleet on the Great Lakes fell in 1795. Haiti, 1804, they was attacked. They had to redesignate because they had to come out of the empire. I.e. Fez, Chile, the star. As you see, it's all, it's just Department of the Army, United States of America. Fez, 1775, we hadn't fell yet. 1789, we hadn't fell yet. I.e. United States to confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. We hadn't fell yet. 1789, pyramid. You see the pyramid. It's just, I don't know what to do. Nicaragua, pyramid. You see the pyramid, Nicaragua. Star Spangled Banner. Let's go to this. Star Spangled Banner. Star Spangled Banner. Okay, so if this is a banner, wait, let's look up the definition of banner because I need to look this up because I thought it was a flag, but it looked like a banner. Let's come here real quick. Now everybody know the difference between flag and banner, right? As long as you know the difference between flag and banner, you know the flag is not a banner. You see, it's just like here, even they will lie here. That's why you got to go to Barack Obama. Let's go to Barack Obama. As you see, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama coming out, Moorish flag right behind them. It's just Moorish flag right here, and then you got the Star Spangled Banner. Moorish flag, Star Spangled Banner. She got the red dress on, the red dress with the red flag. They coming through the double doors, high so low stuff. It's amazing how these people don't. How it's so obvious. The Western Empire is the Moorish Empire. It's so obvious. The Great Seal. Why don't he speak about, so this the tribe's Great Seal? Who Great Seal is this? And why don't they speak under it? This is why they're trying to make it seem like banner and flag is the same thing. Even though you know a flag is not a banner and what a banner is. It's so simple. The Great Seal, the pyramid. You see the pyramid, Great Seal.